Hey everybody, today I wanted to make a video follow-up on the video last week about, what do you do if you break no contact? So one of my Facebook friends, his name is Arthur Fields, posted this beautiful little post the other day about, how to stop playing the abuser's game. And so I wanted to share this with you. He gave me permission to do that because I think he's really hitting on some key points that, maybe a lot of people just don't realize. It does not mean that you're no contact, right? Sometimes we think contact is just like, if we're actually in communication or we see each other or we respond to something. So he lined up a few things that I want to read to you. It says, he wrote, "I assume my part in the whole game. All those public posts I made on Facebook directed towards him, all those indirect quotes and stuff that were meant to reach out while I was no contact. Turns out it wasn't no contact, it was just a break. Going no contact means disengaging completely from the toxic dynamic. I have come to learn a lot about what no contact is not. No contact is not blocking him everywhere, yet making public posts on your social media which would serve as a bait to the abuser. No contact is not pretending you don't want to speak to him, yet you walk past the spots where he is hanging out. No contact is not speaking to your abuser, yet you keep being friends with his friends. No contact is not stalking him or the next source of supply." And then at the very end, he adds this brilliant little piece. "All of those things are nothing but self-sabotage. We pretend we are no contact when in fact we still need our abuser to go back to us." So I thought that was really keen, and I wanted to share that with you guys because sometimes we don't think about these things, right? Like maybe it's like a subconscious thing. We don't even want to consciously admit it. Like if you're walking past the place where that abusive person worked or hung out, and you're telling yourself that you don't want to see them, but you're walking and making yourself available, in the areas where there's a good chance you could run into them. If you go to the bar where you always know they hung out, like pretty soon you're probably going to run into them and you're probably going to get hooked back in it, or even like posting things, like he wrote, like serving as bait, to get the abusive person to see it or to get someone that they know to see it and tell them and then blah, 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 and that sort of behavior. So yeah, that will get you in trouble, and then staying friends with people that they're friends with, right? Because the smear campaign is really dangerous. What could happen after you get away from that abusive person? And if your friends are still friends with that abusive person and you told them the truth and they're still friends with them, those aren't really your friends. Like your friends will stand up. They will unfriend that person on Facebook. Like maybe they barely know them, but they connected on Facebook or their social media. They will unfriend them, your actual friends, But people who aren't actually your friends and they're more, involved in their own self-interest and whatnot, they're still going to maintain contact with them. Worse yet, they could become flying monkeys for that abusive person and they can start passing information back and forth. And, just on top of that, like every time you hang out with those people, either they're going to talk about that abusive person or something is going to remind you of it, and that's not healthy. It's not going to help you to move forward because it's still going to keep you in the loop. So, if you're in a situation where you feel like you still have really low energy, you're still in the confusion and the fog, and you're still like really, really craving for that person, really take a look at, are you really out of that toxic dynamic or are you fooling yourself? Are you still in there somehow? Are you still in the contact somehow, even though you're fooling yourself into thinking that you're not actually in contact just because you're not actually directly in contact. All of these things, that Arthur lined up, these are all indirect ways that you're still in contact with that abusive person. So, the best thing to do is just to get all of that out of your life. Stop going to the areas where you could run into them. Stop going anywhere near the place where they work or places that they hang out. Find new places to go explore. Don't hang on to that just because you always went there together, or you really like the food at that place, but they're going to go there. Don't go there, because you're still going to be in that trauma bond. And even just the anticipation the anxiety of possibly running into them could drive you crazy, and then worse yet, if you actually see them, and how that can affect you, in the moment, that anxiety, that panic going into the stress response, then you're back in that whole dynamic, the amygdala hijack, you're not going to get better if you keep doing this, especially in that early stage of separation, like the first year or two, like you really need to go no contact if you want to totally heal from that person and move on, and again, I realize this does not apply to situations where people share a child with a narcissist. Like quite likely you will have to be in minimum contact with very healthy, clear, solid, strong boundaries for the rest of your life because you share that child, or at least until that child is 18, but quite likely beyond that, there will just be things that come up that you'll have to talk about, so that doesn't apply to that situation. But, if you don't have a child with that person, it's just someone that you dated, or it was someone from work, or it was a friend or a neighbor or something like that, that's the case to go no contact. That's the best case scenario. And no contact truly is the epicenter of your taking your power back so you could move forward. Don't underestimate the power of no contact. That is your power over that person. If you respond to that person in any way, shape, or form, or you even do these other activities that he lined up, you're still in it. You're still going to feel powerless. You're still going to feel out of control. You're still going to feel confused. You're still going to feel crushing self-doubt, crushed sense of self-worth and self-esteem and self-respect, because deep down, at some level that you're compromising yourself, that you have this urge to want to see them, or to maybe want them to reach out to you so that you could reject them or something like this. Stop looking for that, because when you're craving that and looking for that, it's going to show up somehow, even if it's just like internally and inside of you. But quite likely, if you're projecting that, energy enough, that person's going to tune into that. And they're going to try to get in contact with you, or they're going to try to seek you out, or they're going to be doing something behind the scenes that you're not even aware of, and somehow that's affecting you. So, really take that to heart. If you catch yourself doing any of those things that he lined up, recognize that you're not no contact at that point. You're just fooling yourself. And, I'm not saying that to be hard on you. I'm saying that to be real with you, because I've fooled myself doing that before, and so just really being honest with yourself and really admitting, like, if you're still looking for that person to get in contact with you, or you're still hoping that they'll reach out, you're still in that dynamic. You're still in that toxic dynamic. Your energy is leaking out. Your life force energy is being leaked out, and that toxicity is still coming in. So you're not getting better. You're still on that gerbil wheel. You're still exhausted because you're spending a lot of energy, but you're not getting anywhere and you're not moving forward. So I wanted to share that with you. I thought that was really wonderful. I was really happy to see his post. And then, he gave me permission to go ahead and share that with you guys. So, if you have any other ideas, other ways that maybe you caught yourself fooling yourself thinking that you were no contact, share those below in the comments, because those can be really helpful for other people who are going through the same thing. It's really, really, really hard to try to move forward when there's still any kind of connection to that toxic, abusive cycle and dynamic. So I'm sending you all a big hug. See you soon.